Oh, here we are. And then we're off.
Smooth. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to The Room, the podcast brought to you by LFC Transfer Room. And we are recording at such an appropriate time with the breaking news that the Swiss Superman Xherdan Shaqiri is set to leave, and we will get into that. But first, obviously, let me introduce you to my co-hosts. We have the YouTube genius, Chris Stonage. How are you, Chris?
I'm good, mate. I'm good. Genius is very much too far. I'd say YouTube average, nothing above average. I'll go 5.5 out of 10.
I was going to go prodigy, but I was worried about the pronunciation. And we have the podcast extraordinaire, Daz O'Connor. How are you, Daz?
I'm good. I'm extraordinarily good. Yeah. You like that?
Good. Yeah, it's been excellent. Yeah, very good use of vocab. I know, we're going to blow everyone away. It's like we've swallowed a thesaurus. And obviously I'm Ritchie as well, so I'll be one of your co-hosts. And it's been a really good week for the Reds. Obviously, we had a fine game against Burnley. Ali had to make a good couple of saves, but I don't think the result was ever in doubt. And it was, really good result yesterday. And it's so good to see the fans back. It's just great to be back. We hosted a Spaces last night. You can catch us on Spaces every Wednesday and every Saturday at 8 p.m. We've got a real test coming up against Chelsea, who looked, like they could have scored a couple today. And Van Dijk will certainly have a tougher task against Lukaku than he perhaps would have Chris Wood yesterday. So we'll see how they go. But you know what? I'm optimistic. Everyone's optimistic. It's that time of the season where a good performance, makes us feel that way. So it's, fingers crossed for the rest of the season. Moving on, though, to our quick transfer update, I'm going to pass over to Chris, who will give us a roundup of all of the week's transfer rumours.
Yeah, well, before tonight, it's been a bit dry, boys, but we have got a few rumours here. First off, the first one is Liverpool have probed. Now, that's an interesting choice of words. Barcelona multiple times about signing Philippe Coutinho this summer. Now, it feels like Groundhog Day, doesn't it, lads? I mean, it's not going to happen.
Absolutely. I can't stand the Coutinho to Liverpool rumours. I hate them.
Yeah, definitely. Talks have also started with the representatives of Sadio Mane and Andy Robertson about new and improved contracts. That comes from The Athletic. The last one came from Mundo Deportivo, by the way. Of course, number 3, we'll cover this a lot today. Xherdan Shaqiri is going to Lyon for £9.5 million. The original value was around £4 to £5 million. So, good business from Liverpool, really, again. And fourth, Ben Woodburn. Another player who seems like a blast from the past has agreed to join Scottish side Hearts on loan. That comes from the Edinburgh Evening News. That's until January, and they have the option to extend it until the end of the season. And finally, Crystal Palace, Wolves, and West Ham all have Divock Origi on their radar. Will it happen? Who knows?
Not for the valuation that Liverpool were rumoured to be asking of 20 million. I'm not sure whether that was in January and whether it's come down or not. I know that was the valuation, but yeah, unfortunately, I can't see the Div man going for 20 million anywhere, to be fair.
I don't know. I will actually watch today. I watched all Divock Origi goals for Liverpool, and it reminded me of the 2015-16 and then sort of the flurry of form he had in the next season after that. There's a player in Divock Origi. It's just not Liverpool quality.
So it was a highlight reel, like 5 minutes.
Yeah, it was. And it was mostly filled with Barcelona.
Yeah, well, there is no, same as Shaqiri, obviously there is no Madrid if there is no Origi. In Barcelona, he was inspiring. Obviously, he got the winner as well. We call it the winner. It was 2-0, but he got the second goal as well. So, I wish him all the best. And DJ Rose 3 has said 12 to 15 million for Origi. I'd take that all day long. So I'll take that. Let's just see if he goes. I don't think he's in any rush to pack his bags. He seems quite settled and content at Anfield, doesn't he?
I would offer West Ham Origi and like 10 million for Bowen. That sounds like a good deal to me.
Maybe to us, but maybe not for them.
Another one in there, Ben Woodburn as well, is quite an interesting one because, you quite rightly said a blast from the past. And he was, because he hit the ground running. I think we was all expecting big things from Ben Woodburn and it never really took off. He had a couple of loan moves which didn't quite take off. And I think he had a very good pre-season. And he's in and around the squad. So it'll be interesting to see where he goes. If indeed he does go to Hearts, then I think that would be, a good move for him on loan.
I think he needs to toughen up, doesn't he? Physically, he's not as imposing as he should be. You look at the likes of, I think Reece Williams in preseason really impressed me at how bulky he was. Trent's a massive one in terms of the way he's developed physically. Ben Woodburn needs to do that. I made comparisons, quite deludedly, I think, with Jesse Lingard. The fact that he was quite a late bloomer. Maybe Ben Woodburn could be that. I don't think he will be, but this will be a good chance to show it if he is at Hearts. Especially, it's a lovely stadium there, so and a great kit.
And that's all that matters. The stadium, the kit.
It's a shame though, because about 4 years ago he was like the new wonder kid for us, and again we talked about it yesterday on Spaces. These loan moves are just loan moves. Like, he's not going to come back to Liverpool and get in the squad. You just know. It's sad because, when he first started, he was banging some goals in, and then, he was the youngest scorer for us against, was it Leeds?
I think it was Leeds, yeah.
Yeah, and then just never heard from him for like 1 or 2 years. And now this is actually the first time I've heard his name in about 2 years.
He had a good pre-season, so we'll see where he ends up. But I think now that we'll get on to Xherdan Shaqiri and his exit. We might be looking at hopefully signing a few players. So let's just quickly wrap up the Shaqiri news. And it seems as though within literally the past half an hour, and it was perfect timing for the podcast, really, within the past half an hour, Xherdan Shaqiri looks to have completed his move to Lyon for 9.5 million, which is a good price, I think, for Shaqiri with 1 year left on his contract. The initial, bid was 4 million from Lyon. So to get double that, it is what it is. I think Xherdan Shaqiri is actually going to go and be one of the highest paid players at Lyon as well, so fair play to him for that. And it's one of those transfers that he actually went to Klopp and pleaded that it happened as well, because he knows he's not going to get the minutes at Liverpool. Paul Gorst of the Echo has come out and said that we are not actively looking for a replacement for Shaqiri. Now, there's a reason why I extenuated those two words, mainly because I think we've got a replacement for Shaqiri and Harvey Elliott. I don't think we need to replace Shaqiri per se, because we can replace his minutes through Harvey Elliott. So that replacement word is really, really important. And also Liverpool are not going to go around and say that they're actively looking for a transfer, because then that adds value to any single bid that we put in as well. So Liverpool are a lot smarter than that. It's, we know that Fabrizio Romano has said if Origi or Shaqiri went, then Liverpool would look to add, because whilst it's nice to line the coffers with 9.5 million, perhaps just as important, it frees up that non-homegrown space as well. So we do have a space in the squad now, whereas we didn't beforehand. So it'll be very interesting to see what happens. I think we may as well hold tight for the next few weeks. There's been rumours today, we'll go on to this in a moment as well, of Saul Niguez coming in on loan with an obligation to buy. I think that Chelsea and Man United are in the mix there too, so that's something we can discuss. But I think it's quite important that we look at Xherdan Shaqiri and acknowledge that. I think, was it 15 million we bought him for? Was that relegation
12.
release
I
clause
thought it was 12.
Was it 12? To get Shaqiri for 12 million, A, is a steal, and B, there is no Barcelona, there is no Champions League without Shaqiri. Famously had, put the coup de grace into Jose Mourinho, which we always love to see, and especially because it was against Manchester United, those 2 goals as well. So I wish Shaq nothing but the best. Chris, I know that you're a big Shaqiri fan as well, so I'll hand over to you.
In that little run when we played 4-2-3-1 in 18-19, I was so excited by Shaqiri. It was towards the end of 2018, start of 2019. I think we beat Arsenal 4-5-0. Played, Fulham or Burnley, I think, and Shaqiri scored there as well. Really exciting, but and a luxury player almost that we hadn't had under Jurgen Klopp before. Yeah, and his work rate actually was underrated. I think a lot of people shunned his work rate just because of his time at Stoke. Yeah, I think he did his job for Liverpool. He'll go down as a hell of a signing, I think, especially for the value for money. But it is one of those where he's going to be valued much more at Lyon. He's going to be their star man, if you think about it. Apart from maybe Houssama, he's going to be one of the players that they're going to try and get back in to the top of the league. They've just lost Memphis Depay, of course. So yeah, sorry to see Shaq go, but he would be in the top 3 players for me if I wanted to sell. He's one of our top 3 most sellable assets, in my opinion. So yeah, get him gone.
Yeah, I'm with you, Chris. Like I enjoyed when he was, playing for us. Injuries really took a toll on him. It seemed like everybody at Liverpool loved him. Like his teammates, you always see him smiling and everything. But I still think we could have sold him for more. It's down to the wire. So it's either we take that 9.5, or we lose selling him. So I guess good business. Is it 9.5 quid?
I believe so.
Yeah.
Euros, right?
No, not euros.
Yeah, I mean.
That's not a bad resale, is it? Considering we had him at 12, he's got a year left on his contract. He's not set the world on fire at Liverpool. I think 9.5 million is quite a good masterstroke again. I think by Edwards, to be fair. So I don't think you can knock that 9.5, especially if the first, scandalous that it was a 4 million opening bid anyway. But to more than double is pretty good negotiating skills.
Also adding to the fact that Ligue 1 and everywhere across Europe really that isn't the Premier League or PSG is skint. Like no one can afford to buy a player, and obviously Lyon had to offload Memphis Depay to get Xherdan Shaqiri. So it's really important to take that into account. I think if it wasn't a COVID world, if the world wasn't monopolized by PSG, Shaqiri would be going for 20-25 million. I think he's that value of a player, but to get 9.5, I think is good business for us.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's one of those that I think he needs to play regular football. He's coming into the prime / twilight of his career, and he needs to be playing football. I think he'd be phenomenal in Ligue 1 if he gets a run of games together. I really do. We spoke on the podcast when we had Jerry Mancini on from Laziale, and I know that Lazio were in for him too, and I said the same thing. I think he'd do really well in Serie A. Ligue 1 is perhaps a downgrade, perhaps from Serie A, but I still think he'll do phenomenally well. And that Memphis Depay replacement role, I think he can certainly play in that league.
Yeah, he's a beast. He'll do really well in the French league. I hope he puts a number on some of those PSG players.
Yeah,
he'll be facing Wijnaldum.
Oh, good point. Yeah, well, and Lionel Messi. But who came on top last time, eh? Who came up on top last time?
I hope that Shaq goes up to him and says, "Oi, remember me."
And then Divock follows him there and does the same.
Yeah, absolutely. So I suppose the next point of business, when we've all wished Shaq all of the best and thanked him for all of the memories, I think the next point of business then, I suppose, which people are asking for us for in the comments as well, and thank you everyone in the comments, please do keep them coming. Are we going to bring anybody in?
It's an interesting one, isn't it? You got all I don't want to slander him in case I meet him, but Bad News Pierce, Paul Gorst, all the clubs, like the club closest journalists, should we say mouthpieces, but don't quote me on that, saying that we won't sign anyone, that his minutes will go to Elliott and to Gordon, but that really doesn't ring true with me, purely because Elliott's playing. Shaqiri didn't play in midfield regularly. If we think about it, he was mostly either in the 10 or on the right. Like Elliott's playing in midfield, so it doesn't really correlate with everything that they've been saying about Elliott being a midfielder and and Elliott and Shaqiri not playing there. It's very, very strange. So Fabrizio Romano has consistently said throughout the window, and he is the most reliable source, whatever anyone says, even for Liverpool. You would say that he said that if Shaqiri or Origi go, Liverpool will look to sign someone. I'm almost certain we'll look to sign someone. If I'd be very shocked if we didn't.
Yeah, and I'm with you, Chris, as well. Somebody's coming in. I have no idea who, but somebody's coming in because one of my mates, his brother's a groundsman as well, and I know Matty has a mate that's a groundsman, so they're hearing things, and they kind of say that they've been hearing somebody's coming in. So I believe groundsman.
Yeah, the groundsmen are keeping their right ears to the ground. If they could tell us who, that'd be great because we can all get on Sky Bet and put a bet on, and we'll get rich as well. We've got a couple of comments. We've got the Craig K. We've got DJ Rouse as well talking about Jeremy Doku, and I think he is. That's an FSG and Klopp signing all day. Jeremy Doku, I think, 19 years old. He obviously had a good Euros. I don't think he was anything sensational, but there's such a player in there, and I think his finishing product could obviously do with some, pepping up. But Salah and Mane weren't hitting the numbers they were under anybody else apart from Jurgen Klopp. So if anyone can bring those numbers up, it is going to be Jurgen Klopp and his team. Jeremy Doku certainly is a player. We've had another comment about Rafinha. I think we're going to be priced out for Rafinha at the moment. I don't think he's keen to leave, if I'm honest. I think he would probably have to push that. I personally could see us going back in for, who we were supposed to sign before Jota, because it was a huge smokescreen last summer. I would go Ismail Assar. I really like him as a player. I think, again, at 22, I think he's 22, he looks very comfortable in the Premier League and did last time around as well. I think Assar player, we need somebody who's going to come in, if we do get someone in, and not demand the minutes, because no one's getting in front of that front four. We've got Jota in the mix now, who's keeping Firmino out of the team, and that was because of obviously Copa America. But he scored 2 goals. You can't drop Jota. He scored 2 goals in 2 games. So I think a Doku or a Sarr would be most likely for me. I think they'll be really good additions as well. But again, it depends on price. So we'll have to wait and see.
Definitely. Well, you said that no one can push past that front four. Last year, we were saying no one can push past this front three. These things can happen. If a player comes in and has an impact like Diogo Jota, it'll be like, who can get past this front five? I don't think we'll go with a player with that age profile, really. You said Sarr, who's 22. Madueke, who's been mentioned in the comments, is 19, I believe. I think you need to get a player in who can have an impact without having those minutes, a bit like Jota. So maybe Sarr could be a bit like that. I mean, maybe he needs a few more years in him. But like Jota, he could have an impact without being bedded in almost. You need someone to come in and have an instant impact off the bench. For me, I'm going to be biased. A player from my hometown, Jared Bowen. I think he would be the kind of bloke, as we've all mentioned, to come in and have that sort of impact. He's that age profile. He's not doesn't have the ceiling, I don't think, as Sarr. But, in terms of fitting into our current system, I think Bowen would be more suited than those. I don't know what you think, Daz.
I think he's suited. I do. Obviously, Premier League experience. It's just, are we going to get held to ransom? Because there's only a week, a week to go. West Ham, they're gonna, jack up the price, I'm sure. And then again, that's why the Origi thing really I think helps sweeten the deal. Again, Origi plus money would work. But it's up to West Ham. The ball is in everyone else's court and not ours. That's the issue. Everybody. I think that's why you hear the media with Gorse and everyone saying we're not going to get anyone. We are 100%. You hear it from Klopp. We're not going to get anyone. Yes, we are 100%. But I like Bowen. I do. Fits the profile. He defo would come in. As a sub, and could change the game. And also, we need players for cup matches. We've always talked about depth. Salah can't play every game of the season. Jota's not going to play. Mane, especially with Mane and Salah leaving for the AFCON, which everybody, it's only 3 league matches. So don't let your head explode. It's only 3. So we'll be all right. But yeah, Bowen's a good shout.
Yeah, I mean, he's proven in the Premier League that English tax, I suppose, will, with any English player, perhaps put more money on than what he's worth. So again, it depends on price tag, doesn't it? We know that Edwards and co will not, pay over the odds for anybody. But yeah, Bowen does count as homegrown as well. So, we could actually bring in 2. You could probably bring in Jared Bowen, and you could probably, again, we'll talk about in a moment, Saul Niguez on loan this season with the obligation to buy next season. And I think that's perfect. You're bringing in 2 players. So yeah, I mean, the really good shout. So again, the best thing with Liverpool Football Club, I'm pretty sure no ITKs know anything about Liverpool Football Club. And nobody saw this Shaqiri news breaking today. From what I know, I'm sure I'll get told in the comments if people did. But Liverpool keep their cards close to their chest. We didn't see the Jota signing come in last season, So hopefully Liverpool do have something up their sleeve. I think a lot of it just depends on the price tag, but we'll see. We'll see. Hopefully, fingers crossed. But I mean, let's talk about these rumours about Saul. We've been basically linked to him for about 6 weeks, 7 weeks, 8 weeks now, and the rumour's not going away. It seems like Atletico they've already got the replacement in Rodrigo de Paul, who is fantastic. I can't believe, from my knowledge, like no one else was in for him, because he is one hell of a player. But I mean, it looks like Saul's bags are packed. It's just dependent on where he goes. The good thing about a loan move is obviously you just take over his current deal. We're not going to pay him any extra on his contract. So actually that is quite handy, because let's say he moves to Liverpool and he demands £300,000 in a transfer. In a loan, you don't do that. You take 100% of the contract. If he's on £200,000 a week, then obviously that's really handy as well. So it's one of those that it makes sense, because we don't have to part with any cash now. And it's also a little bit, even though it's obligation, we'll have to see what the obligations are to buy. But it's also one of those, like we had with Kabak, it's an audition. And we don't, like I say, we're saving money with everything that we're doing anyway. So, I mean, he's an absolute player. I don't know where he would fit in with that midfield. I really don't. It's just that what's been rumoured today, and obviously LFC transfer room, we talk about transfer rumours. We look at everything that's been linked. So, I don't know whether I would have said, yes, I saw this 4 or 5 weeks ago. It would be a perfect sign-in. But with the emergence of Elliott, Keita, Henderson coming back, Fabinho's yet to come back, Thiago starting to get minutes now, is there room for him in that midfield?
Don't think we need a midfielder, but if you sort of I don't think we needed a midfielder last season, really. If you looked at it, if from a basis of it, but we got Thiago because he was there, and you have to get a player like that. Saul played at left back tonight for Atletico Madrid. He's not wanted by Simeone anymore. Why not go for a player like him? I mean, that could potentially open the door for someone like Curtis Jones to go on loan, go and get some experience, or someone like that. But yeah, he's a world-class player. You can't not look to get him if he's available. It's a bit like, even if he doesn't quite, I think he fits the mold though, does he not? Like, I think he would almost perfectly fit into where Wijnaldum left.
I would tend to agree. I just wouldn't see Elliott's. I wouldn't like to. I know Harvey Elliott's only played 2 games and we're all getting carried away. But I wouldn't want to see those minutes being diminished. And again, we've got the problem with last season is obviously we didn't have players for positions. We said going in, well, Fabinho was 4th choice centre back. It's fine because those 3 centre backs won't get injured. And lo and behold, we had Fabinho and Hendo playing at centre back. 19 different centre back pairings in the league last season. So you can't, especially in midfield, especially the way that Liverpool play, you need rotation in that midfield because the energy levels, the dynamism, like you need that in that midfield. So Saul is a good fit. I don't know, again, whether, these rumours are to be believed, but I mean, you wouldn't necessarily, be against it.
Well, I mean, you're hearing, United and Chelsea could go in for him as well. Maybe that's a smoke screen just to piss us off,
I think he's actually I think he would be a lot more beneficial.
United, though.
I mean, you can't play McFred all the time, can you? Because they're not doing it. We saw him today. You know, like Matic is on his last legs. I think he would be a really good signing, if I'm honest, for Manchester United. I don't think Chelsea necessarily need a Saul with their abundance of riches, but I think for Man United he'll be a perfect player because they are missing and lacking in that midfield, which again is another reason why I'd prefer us to sign him, because I really would not want Manchester United to get any sort of benefit from our lack of movement.
Whoever's behind the LFC transfer room comments, I'm coming for you. I'm getting abusing these comments. I'm not doing shots. It's not happening.
We will be though if we bring in somebody. I can tell you that we'll be doing the shots.
If Jared Bowen comes in, you know, he's from Hereford, my hometown. You know, I'll be buzzing.
Absolutely. Just quickly then on yesterday, it's a segment that we're starting to bring in is this stats segment. Just a couple really from yesterday's game, and obviously we can have a little bit of a chat about it because it does link into what we were saying about Sarr and what we were saying about Bowen perhaps as well, or any attacker that comes in. But Sadio Mane joined a very prestigious list. He became the 5th player to score 50 home goals, 50 goals at Anfield, alongside Robbie Fowler, Steven Gerrard, Michael Owen and Mo Salah. And when I read that stat, I didn't actually believe it. I thought there was more than 50, but it's just 50 Premier League goals at Anfield. So, I mean, again, Salah didn't have Mane didn't have the best season by his own admission last season, but he's such a quality player. I thought he looked dangerous before the goal, and you saw Firmino get up and sit down from the bench, and I thought he was going to come on for Mane. And I was like, I actually don't want Mane to go off because he looked a threat the whole way through, and he finally got his goal when he became, you know, like I say, the 5th player to score 50 plus goals at Anfield. Chris said in the transfer roundup as well, we're looking at signing Mane on an extended deal and Robbo. Again, it's one of those that if we're signing Salah and Mane to a long-term deal, Jota's only just arrived as well. That only leaves Firmino to go. I don't think he'll probably get a contract extension personally, because I don't think it's got to be a slow evolution away from that front three. But again, Mane, you know, there's such a great, talented player in there, and he so needed that goal yesterday, as Red Nightman said as well. Like, so needed that goal yesterday. You know, do we need an attacker? Do we need an attacker?
I think so. I think if you see an injury to Salah or Mane, yes, we've got Firmino, Jota, but it's I don't know. We need the depth. I don't trust. I love him to bits, but I don't trust Takumi Minamino in a Premier League game for a long time. Unless it's against, say, a Norwich or, you know, a Watford or something like that. I do think, you know, you need another one just that you can rotate in. That's maybe what Oxlade-Chamberlain will do now with Harvey Elliott's going in midfield, but I prefer Ox in midfield as well. It's a difficult one, isn't it? But I do think we need one to make sure that we continue our evolution.
Yeah, we need an attacker. But you also, you know, have to look at our midfield as well, because yes, we have 7, 8 midfielders, but 2 of them are injury prone. I hope this is their season to shine, especially Keita. I thought even though he didn't, like, off the ball, I thought he was boss. You know, he didn't do too much with the ball, but breaking up plays was really good. His positional sense was really good. Ox, you know, obviously wasn't there. Even in the Norwich match, you know, maybe he had the baby thing on his head, because that was probably a really bad game for him. And again, this is their this season for Ox and Keita. If they don't get it right, they're gone. But yeah, an attacker, whether experienced or just young and hungry, is what we need, because I'm afraid that one of or 2 of the front 3 or 4 is going to get injured just because of what happened last season. You know, did we ever expect 3 of our best centre backs to be out? No. 1 maybe with Matty, because again, he's injury prone. I hate that word, injury prone, which is a lot of Liverpool players, you know, in the last couple of seasons. But I mean, Gomez, that was a freak. That I still don't know really what happened. Supposedly he stuck his foot in the ground and then turned, and his knee just went. You know, we all know what happened to Virgil and Matip. What really was up with Matip?
I think Matip is the only one that's made of glass. Listen, I see this comment. I can't look. I just like stroking my beard. All right, so when I listen to people, okay, just allow me.
Another stat actually that stood out to me yesterday. I've started doing it now. It's catching. It's infectious. Trent Alexander-Arnold has provided 9 assists for Sadio Mane in the Premier League, which is 4 more than he has for any other Liverpool player. So again, you know, that link will certainly, if we are looking eventually to take, you know, Mane out and put someone in, you know, that link is a very strong one. So you know, we all talk about the Robbo and Mane link because they work so well down that flank, down that left hand side. But obviously Trent and Mane have a really good connection too. So yeah, I mean, you know, we've obviously had quite a few comments in, and if you've got any comments, then obviously please let us know. We know that there was a couple of players yesterday who weren't in the squad. We had Origi not in the squad and Nat Phillips not in the squad, both of which are fit. So perhaps there might be some more outgoings as well. Nat Phillips looks like it sort of, you know, looks like Liverpool might cash in. And I think, as much as I love Phillips, I think it's quite a smart move because he had a really good season last season. I very rarely did he put a foot wrong. I thought he came into that team and he was brilliant. I think Reece Williams perhaps is going to stay because he's younger. He'll go back into the under-23s and get more game time as well. But, you know, with Phillips, if we're going to cash in, I think now's perhaps the time to do it, because looking at the past 2 weeks, there's a lot of defences in that Premier League that could do with someone like Nat Phillips.
I think Brighton's the one that for me, these are the one that it looks like most likely. Obviously, with Ben White leaving, they do love a nice English centre-back, don't they? So yeah, why not? I mean, I think lots of people saying he's just a cult hero. I think that's a bit harsh. Last season, if it wasn't for Nat Phillips, we wouldn't have got top 4. We own Nat Phillips a lot more than that. He wasn't just good for moments; he was solid for 17 games. Like he didn't do anything wrong. But we have to change the way we play because of him, and that's not his fault. He's just slow. Like it's just how it is. But yeah, it would be smart business. I think retrospectively, if you look at the fact that where Divock Origi hit his peak. I know, you know, hindsight is 2020, but you would have sold him that summer after the Champions League. And I think Liverpool will be taking that into account with Nat Phillips.
Yeah, he slows down. You know, that's why we didn't do the high press last season. You know, 15 mil for him, be fantastic deal. He gets, you know, regular football. And at 24, he deserves regular football, but just not at Liverpool. I thank him.
I mean, he showed over those 17 games that he can do it, and I think he would be perfect for a team like Brighton. Or, you know, I know Burnley really did impress me actually yesterday. And Tarkowski and me are fantastic. But it would suit a football team like that. You know, not a high line football team, like no way. But he did really well. And yeah, I think it would be sensible to cash in on him. So we'll see. He wasn't in the squad yesterday, as people have quite rightly said in the comments as well. I'm just going to touch on this one. I mean, it's something that we looked at on the spaces yesterday. Trent into midfield. I mean, we said on the spaces yesterday. For me, it's a non-starter. If I'm honest, I would love to see Trent Alexander-Arnold be the right back of Liverpool for the next 10, 12 years and become an icon in that right back position, like Dani Alves and like Cafu. You know, I see no real reason because, like we were saying yesterday, he finds more space on the right than he would do in the middle of a field. You know, and Harvey Elliott yesterday, yes, you know, Harvey Elliott was that person who allowed him almost to drift in for Mane's goal into that, because Harvey Elliott pulled out the fullback. If you look at the goal back, he pulled out the fullback and Trent could go into that space. But that's how he finds space, is because he's allowed to roam. And Liverpool play the system of we attack through our fullbacks. You see it with Robbo. You saw it with Simi, to be fair. Kostas Tsimikas, a beautiful cross onto Jota's Bonds. And that's how we attack. So I think if you take away one of the best attacking players on the right-hand side and put him into midfield, you almost get lost So for me, it's a no-go. I would love to see Trent be an icon at right back, and Cafu and Dani Alves will weep at what Trent becomes, hopefully.
We seen it with Pep Guardiola last year, didn't we? He put, I think it was Cancelo and Walker actually took inside positions. I think maybe Jurgen's cottoned onto that a little bit. Trent, you saw the position he took before setting up Mane's goal. It was sort of like a number 10 position, where he was. But he's a right back, and he has so massively improved defensively. It would be, taking away his biggest strength, in my opinion, which is getting up and down that right hand side, to put him in midfield where it's a completely different game, completely different. So yeah, Trent midfield, nah.
Yeah, I mean, if you put him in midfield, then you'd have to go out and buy a world class right back, and we have one. We have one in Trent. So yeah, I think few months ago we talked about maybe when Trent's about 30, maybe move into midfield then, kind of like the Gerrard role where he was like the quarterback. Maybe then, but I mean that's years down the line. Yeah, you don't touch something that's not broken. I mean, why on earth would you put the world's best right back in midfield? That's just not a possibility. He's too good. Because his crosses, he wouldn't be able to do that in midfield, would he? Do those runs down the right flank as well. So there'd be no point. That's like putting Robbo in midfield as well. You just wouldn't do it, because then that dimension that you have, you won't get it. I mean, Tsimikas, I love him. Again, he's the world's second best left back, but still, you would have Andy any day of the week. We talked about it yesterday. Is he going to start against Chelsea? Is he not? And same with Trent. I mean, the same. Would you put Trent in midfield against Chelsea, or would you have him at right back?
Exactly.
I know what we
Dani Alves as well. Dani Alves, you mentioned, he actually got into attacking midfield for Sao Paulo this year. But his best years, his prime years were at right back. So yeah.
Yeah, he's not had a bad career at right back, has he, as well, let's be honest. So he can still do it. But Trent, all of these right backs, Dani Alves, Cafu, Trent Alexander-Arnold, they've made fullback positions cool again. Gone are the days of I don't know, let's say like Gary Neville and Philip Neville playing on the fullback roles and just sitting and maybe doing a little bit of an overlap. It's cool again to play right back because you're bombing forwards and you've got that space and there's no actual pressure on you because you know that someone's in front of you, so you're not going to run the ball out of play. You've got an infield pass. I personally can't see it. I think Trent and Rob are revolutionary, and I think that he's going to be a future Liverpool captain as well. So yeah, there we go with that. And I suppose the last thing really to have a look at is the upcoming game against Chelsea. And I know that Arsenal were not at the races today, and that is a club that is in a little bit of trouble. But if Liverpool go 1 or 2 or 3, hopefully, up at half time, Liverpool remain unbeaten in the last 115 Premier League games at Anfield when leading at half time. So there is a very good omen if we do actually go above or go ahead of Chelsea. And the last time to actually, the last team to beat them after I've just slandered them was in December 2009 against Arsenal. There we go. Yeah. So there we go. We've just seen Lukaku play, and we've just seen, his link-up play with Havertz and Mason Mount. I personally think that you can't really take anything away from today because Arsenal were pretty dreadful defensively. I think Virgil van Dijk will have a battle on his hands, but I think he'll come out on top. I think that will be huge for this. I know it's the third game of the season, but a win here against Chelsea would be absolutely monumental.
Title decider, isn't it? I think.
I can't see, unless Man City get Harry Kane, I do think it would be Chelsea or Liverpool pushing for the title. You can't obviously exclude, because Man City's like squad is ridiculous. It's just like you can't ever count them out of a title race. But I don't think Man United are going to be there. I'll probably eat my words, but you know, I don't think Man United will be there. I think it's out of us three. So to be playing Chelsea at home this early and put a dent in their hopes would be phenomenal.
It's frightening today watching Lukaku, though, wasn't it? Like, honestly, the difference
I was watching it through.
Yeah, the difference in him today. I mean, he ran that game. He completely ran it, and you knew it would happen as well. I wonder what the odds before the game of Lukaku to score, but it can't have been high because it just felt like it was guaranteed to happen. He's world class, Lukaku. One of the best of his generation. He will score 20, 25 goals guaranteed this season. He is guaranteed. And he holds the ball up so well. He scared me today. He scared me more than Harry Kane ever has. So, you know.
Yeah, but he's going to be coming up against the world's best defender. You know, Virgil still won't be 100%. That's the only kind of issue I have. But Lukaku, yeah, I mean, that's what Chelsea needed, was a hold up, just like the Costa, you know, and Drogba. They've always done really, really well with a hold up at striker. Yeah, it was kind of like, you know, when you watch Doctor Who and the Daleks show up and then you hide behind the sofa. Yeah, it was like that today watching Lukaku. You know, you just put your bead like, is he gone yet?
As the great Sean Locke once said, Piers Morgan on wheels.
Oh, yeah.
God bless him.
Rest in peace. But he, I mean, with Lukaku, I think it's actually good that we're playing Chelsea this early, because Lukaku would not have been. I mean, he's world class and he's going to fit into any team, but I don't want him to get him on too much of a run before we play him. So hopefully we can quell him and not give him the space, you know, that he was afforded today. And a big thing, like you said, with Chelsea and Drogba, it's one of those that we have to have players running off. We have to track those players too. You know, Drogba always had Lampard running off him, for instance. Lukaku's going to have Mount, Havertz. So we need to track those two. But it's a massive game, biggest game of the season so far. Obviously, we've only had 3 games anyway, but I still think that it will shape up the season. But as the Craig K rather has also said, Matip's pockets contain keys, phone, Lukaku.
You're jinxing him, man. Matip's going to slip now.
Anyway, thank you to everybody for getting involved in today's podcast. It was really good. Obviously, we did it off the cuff because of the Shaqiri news, so everything that we planned was out the window. But thank you for everyone to get involved in the comments, and we hope to see you all again. Any final words, Chris or Daz?
I just want to say, because we got the bad news yesterday, Terry Mack has been diagnosed with dementia. I've met him a few times, absolutely boss fella, had time for everyone. So hopefully, you know, onwards and upwards for him and his family.
Definitely. I'd like to echo that as well. I mean, we were going to have him down for our supporters club AGM, and he rang up my dad and he was like, all right, Graham, it's Terry Mack here. And it's just like, he had spent loads of time conversations, you know, sorting things out. Sent me a video on my 18th birthday, you know, hell of a bloke. And, you know, we wish him the best on his journey. Same with Dennis Law as well of Man United. So hopefully, you know, they can be as comfortable as possible.
Absolutely. But thank you, everyone. Yeah, again, I'm going to go and get a drink because my vessel's empty and Chris has had 12, so I need to catch up.
You're my second. This is bullying. I know I'm a student, but that's fine.
Student life on a Sunday. Anyway, thank you all. We will see you on the Spaces on a Wednesday and a Saturday at 8 p.m. But until now, everybody take care. And as always, up the Reds.